Welcome to Game Data, where we discuss video games, technology, and how they tend to cross paths. Today we're talking about a small device from a largely unknown company named Samsung. Okay, well, maybe not that unknown and maybe not that small. Here I have Samsung's latest, greatest flagship, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G, which I'll just be calling the Fold from now on to save time. This device launched back in August as Samsung's third real attempt at a smallish phone that can turn into a largish phone. And I gotta say, if the look and feel of the device were the entire story, this would be a knockout at the park for them. Everything about this device screams premium, including the $1,800 price tag. Yikes. And like the price tag, it doesn't quite get everything right in all cases. While Samsung's alternative folding device, the Z Flip line, is trailblazing a niche in the market for stylish, ambitious foldables that cost the same as other flagship phones, the Fold line feels content as one of the most polished, futuristic phones available, which isn't necessarily ready or available for most people to buy. Whether that's a bad thing will depend entirely on your perspective, but for me, it's kind of a mixed bag on three different fronts: size, usability, and competition. If you saw my last video, you'll know that before getting the Fold, I spent a year with the Surface Duo. I loved about 90% of that year, and I would say that the Duo is one of my all-time favorite smartphones. Part of that reason comes down to the fact that the Duo screens are reasonably large, but not too large, and impossibly light. The Fold is neither of those things. But that's not for the worst. In fact, I'd say the Fold kind of revels in being as chunky as possible to make it feel just a bit more premium. The outside screen alone is a tad thicker than the Surface Duo, but feels much heavier to hold. Even after using the Fold as my primary device for over a month, it still feels quite heavy to pick up. On one hand, the added weight is always kind of a bit much, but on the other hand, it provides an odd sense of security. When I open the device, it feels incredibly stable and never like I have the ability to break it. Even though I consciously know that the screen could be destroyed if I ever let my nails grow a bit too long and poke at it in the wrong way. This sense of safety is a really good feeling to have on a device like this that could easily be too fragile to take outside. And those feelings also play to the benefit of the overall screen size. For a different phone, I'd complain that the outside screen is far too thin to use, about the width of an iPhone 8. And if this were a tablet, I'd say the inside screen is just small enough not to make it the greatest at many tablet-like things. But the versatility of having both form factors in a single device feels worth all those trade-offs. And it's definitely won me over. Plus, actually using those screens has been fantastic. The outside screen is tall enough to give the keyboard extra breathing room and make it so that I'm not cursing at typos every time I want to peck out a tweet or respond to a message. I can't tell you how many times this hasn't been true for devices like my iPhone 8, which feels so cramped that I've actively avoided using it for anything other than necessary work stuff. But still, the outside screen's narrowness means that lines of text wrap quicker and images look absolutely tiny. It's clear that Samsung meant for it to be used for purely utilitarian purposes. Which is great, it's fine. I'd love if it were just a tad larger, but to be honest, it doesn't need to do anything more than allow folks to use the phone in places where the inside screen wouldn't be as practical, like while walking around outside. And for that, I guess I don't really have that many complaints. The inside screen though? Well, that's a different beast altogether. I've typically found myself using it while sitting somewhere for a while, and it's been fantastic for doing big screen stuff, like reading articles and comics, viewing desktop versions of web pages, or just giving myself a bit more room in whatever Android app I need to use. Really, the strength of this device is in having one app as large as possible in a handheld package. While a device like the Surface Duo excels at using two apps at once, the Fold is best served by giving users the most space to be absorbed in a single task. It's not even terrible to prop this up on a stand, connect a keyboard and mouse, and use it like the smallest, most expensive Chromebook ever. I actually wouldn't even hate if Samsung eventually enabled full DeX mode on these devices in the future. It wouldn't replace a dedicated laptop, but it would squeeze just a bit more versatility out of this largest display. Just know that while the Fold is more than able to have multiple floating or split screen apps open at a time, it quickly gets a bit too cluttered. That honestly feels more like a limitation of the form factor though. For Samsung to create enough room to fit a bunch of apps well, they need to make the device either taller or wider, both of which would severely compromise either the portability of the device or how easy folks could use the outside screen. On the topic of usage and versatility though, the Fold 3 is a bit of an odd duck for gaming. The outside screen is wide enough to create scaling issues with Android games and large black bars for emulation. Depending on the game, text is also a bit too small for comfort. Plus, touch controls vary in quality depending on use. Using it like a Game Boy Micro felt uncomfortable for even a short session of Super Mario Bros. 3. But I didn't hate using it for Genshin Impact. The sliding gesture-based controls felt fairly natural, although with the caveat that I can really feel the lack of vertical space while playing. I'll probably continue dabbling with it, but long term, I see myself really only using the outside screen for Pokemon Go while I'm out walking around. But honestly, if you're buying a Fold 3, you probably expect the outside screen to not be the greatest. The phone's mostly about that larger inner screen after all, and overall, it's good, but not the best. I love the screen size, and as I've said about the Duo, a 4x3 screen is wonderful for emulating older titles. Scaling on modern games will continue to be a mixed bag on non-standard aspect ratios, and whether that trade-off is worth the larger screen is entirely dependent upon the game and your personal taste. What's less about personal taste is the awkward trade-off the screen demands between touch controls and screen real estate. For example, when playing GameCube games, I need to make a decision between whether I want to use the full screen for the game and cover the video with controls, or relegate the video to a portion of the screen so that the controls have their own space. Both options are less than stellar. The only way to really fix it would be for Samsung to widen the screen, which, as I said before, could have some impact to other usability concerns. Instead, I found that the best way to use the Fold for gaming appears to be either grabbing a compatible controller grip, if you can find one, or propping the Fold up using a stand and using a traditional controller. When used this way, the Fold is wonderful as a monitor. The screen's just big enough to ward against the eye strain that prevented me from doing the same thing with the Duo. And the stereo speakers are also more than capable if I don't want to wear headphones. Overall, it's a pretty great package. My only issue is that I'm not sure when I'd actually use it like this. At home, I have many monitors that I could plug the Fold into for better visuals and beefier computers and consoles for gaming. And if I'm traveling, I'm also stuffing a Surface Pro into one of my bags. Maybe I could find some use if I got a case for the Fold with a built-in kickstand and I carried a small 8-bit Duke controller in my pocket, but even small controllers aren't necessarily the most comfortable to stuff away. Now, to be clear, the Fold is great at playing games. It's just one of those things where the overall package is stellar, but the technical details require some additional fine-tuning and jerry-rigging. Because it's a non-standard form factor, the Fold has some limitations when trying to act like a more standard smartphone. As long as you can work around those small limitations, I think most people will be pretty happy with the Fold's overall performance. There's still one more thing that I feel obligated to bring up. Objectively, the Fold 3 is the most capable foldable phone on the market by virtue of existing. A handful of other foldable phones have come out over the past few years, like Huawei's Mate X phone, but the only other company to launch a foldable here in the US was Motorola with its Razr revival. But that device competed more directly with Samsung's Flip devices than the Fold. Currently, the only real competing device to the Fold 3 is the Duo 2, which asserts that two durable screens done well are better than a single softer screen that's foldable and more compact. Unfortunately, we're still waiting to see if Microsoft can finally elevate the Duo line from a niche device that's mostly recommendable only when it's discounted. Meanwhile, this third iteration of Samsung's foldables has edged closer to cementing them as competent devices that are easily recommendable to anyone with deep pockets seeking a powerful, versatile pocket computer. But the lack of solid competition leaves me wondering how much Samsung will feel pressured to keep pushing this form factor past its current limitations. For that, we may be waiting until Apple or Google release their rumored foldables, or a company like TCL introduces a device with more casual, consumer-friendly pricing. And to be honest, the Fold's major problem here is its price. The 120Hz screen is beautiful, the cameras are decent, the processor is on par with other Android phones, and One UI, Samsung's Android skin, has never been more capable. But at $1,800? It could be the best device I ever laid my eyes on, but it's difficult to recommend over something more practical. For example, an iPad mini or Surface Go, plus any other flagship phone on the market right now. If Samsung could find a way to lower the base price of their Fold line to, say, $1,000, the Fold line would be much easier for folks to pick up and could make a real impact on how people think about using their phones and what's possible to do with their phones. But for now, it simply feels like it'd be out of reach for most folks, which is a real shame. So, where do I stand on the Fold? I really like it. It doesn't feel like the game changer that the Duo was when I got it last year. Yet the Fold does feel more premium overall and more comfortable to use when I need just a single app to fill the entire screen. Even the small task of reading tech articles and Shonen Jump on the larger screen has really made me love the device and makes it feel cozy. It kind of reminds me a lot of what I used to love about my Note 10 Plus, even if my S Pen is still in the mail. If Samsung could just make this device cheaper and improve their multi-app workflow, I think it'd be even better. Now, I'm not getting rid of my Duo anytime soon, but I'll be carrying the Fold 3 with me for quite some time. If there are any new developments as I continue using it, I'll be sure to make a follow-up video describing my thoughts. Until then, is there anything I didn't cover in this video that you're dying to know about the Fold 3 or the Surface Duo 1? Are you sold on foldables or dual screen devices being the future of smartphone design? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a nice big thumbs up. And as always, if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and give a hearty click to that subscribe button. Coming up, we're going to switch up our topics with some discussion about a brand new console that launched today. So be sure to get excited. And until next time, catch you later.